were all acceptable or better. Of the state-owned, I think all but one or two were okay for undergrads, and Susan and me, but
Couple will make it.
might not survive.
Yeah.
Might not survive in a competitive environment.
A lot of rice and beans.
I have good rice and beans.
Yeah.
I have a few copies of the course syllabus, if anybody's interested in those. I'll just pass them around if you want. I have one more copy of, in addition to the readings in the syllabus, I put together a list of about 100 or 150 other resources. I've only got one copy of that. And I've also got a few copies of this grid that is what we had the students carry with them, that shows the day-to-day schedule, tells them how to dress, tells them by color coding, tells them if it's a cultural visit or a business visit or
Very
an academic
organized.
visit.
Very good schedule.
We've done these.
Randy, before I want to go to a technical question. You talked about businesses investing in hiring employees. What about another business model where there is the workers are the owners, a cooperative
Yeah.
model, which seems to be at least being proposed in agriculture?
Yeah. Well, it actually is a model. I mean, co-ops are big. Our speaker, who one of the students pointed out and said that's Ernesto's wife, that's co-ops are one of her areas of expertise. As you know, the co-op movement's still big in the U.S., and there is a connection. There was just a trip of the leadership from the U.S. I forget the name of the.
National Cooperative Business Association.
Yeah, right. They just had a trip to Cuba to look at co-ops in Cuba, and
Might that be for next year, a linkage? I mean,
it could be. It could
it's an
be.
alternative ownership.
Well,
business
you know,
model.
we had a talk on that. We visited state-owned businesses, privately owned businesses. I don't think we had a co-op
No, I don't
business
think
visit.
Co-operatives are different.
so.
Yeah, but it's an important business model. I don't think that can be the dominant business model if you want to bring in outside investment.
Outside private investment.
But it could be a good hybrid model for
Not
Cuba.
necessarily, because the cooperative movement here in the U.S. is, we are owners of stock in Organic Valley.
Right, right.
We get dividends from that.
And
So
we're owners of our
the-
credit unions and some of our insurance companies, right?
But I'm just thinking that it.
But we have money to invest in our co-ops.
No, but I mean, outsiders invest in co-ops.
Oh,
I'm a member
yeah.
of that co-op, but I
Yeah.
invest in it. And
Yeah.
there's mechanisms that they're developed.
Yeah.
But I just was thinking that there's, my impression, the Cubans are very worried about foreign direct investment.
I don't think they're as worried as they should be.
Well,
I think they should be even more worried.
I think, yeah,
Yeah.
that's my opinion
Mhm.
also. But where they're trying to develop an alternative business model, why
Yeah.
not explore that? Because it could have some feedback here.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and it might be a great transitional model.
Yeah.
And you know, when you look at joint ventures, when you look at co-ops, there's different kinds of equity you can invest. It doesn't have to be money. So the education of that veterinarian or the education of that chemist has equity value to a co-op or to a joint venture. And if you had a model like that, because you've got a ton of underutilized equity of that
Yeah.
sort, intellectual equity in Cuba, and if you put together whether it's a co-op or a traditional joint venture, and you value that equity appropriately, then even though maybe not a lot of Cuban individuals have a lot of cash to put into that, they have a lot of equity, a lot of intellectual equity, and that could be a good opportunity.
I just am a bit suspicious of the NCBA as a legitimate institution, but you've got to try it, I guess.
You know, it's assuming that what works here is going to work there isn't a good thing to assume.
That's not what I worry about. I worry about them being even more nefarious than that.
Yeah,
But in any case, I think it's an interesting, from the Cubans' point of view, if you accept what they are proposing,
Yeah.
let's strengthen that or contribute to that
yeah.
as a business model rather than the capitalist business model.
I mean, it's.
They've all been the things easier.
Well, there are people who argue that a co-op model is a capitalist model. It's just a different type of capitalist
I know,
model,
but-
right?
But it's different than owner and workers.
Yeah, and that addresses the issue of where do the profits go.
Yes.
And, that really worries me. I've seen that's happening in Myanmar right now, where,
Right.
the foreign investment is just it's extracting. It's extracting from the country. It puts some money in, low wages, it circulates a little bit. That's not going to build a sustainable economy. And that'd be awful if that's what happens in Cuba, but Cuba has that intellectual equity. It's not just the education, they've got a pharmaceutical industry that they've developed. They've got an agricultural industry, they've got a tourism industry. So there's some things already there.
I heard it said to me when I was in Cuba, they had this kind of joke that Fidel was really the minister of health. That was where his priorities were.
Yeah.
The health, building up the
But if you think of health as a triple bottom line kind of health,
Yeah, but
there's,
I mean, they've invested in that human capital.
Yeah.
Like what you're talking about,
Yeah.
From the beginning.
but what if that goes away? What if the country opens up and they can't afford that education system or that healthcare system anymore? What?
That's a comment on us, that we would insist that they destroy the sector. If they're destroying it here, why would we get away with it? But anyway, I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah, we're witnessing what's about to become a really interesting experiment. I just don't know what the experiment will be yet. This is also a list of I have one list of the team projects that the student teams chose to do, if anybody's interested in that.